I'm so passionate about shopping local, supporting local, because the world's going to get more and more with the quantum physics, the AI, everything that's coming out. Everything's a click of a button away, and we're going to get isolated, and we're going to forget about our intuitiveness. We're going to forget about dating and courting when you used to go out and meet them, and then you'd feel the energy, feel if there's chemistry there. The frequency of the energy of the people that you're around in business is crucial, and relationships. Hello, everybody. I'm Angela Groeneveld. Welcome to the Angela Groeneveld Show. I always start the introduction as, I'm so excited. So this one, I promised myself I'm going to do something differently. This one is today. We are celebrating a 10th year anniversary. I'm pretty excited about that. So we're celebrating Heather and 10 years in business. Why I decided to bring Heather on as a guest is, one, we're soul sisters. And when you hear this journey, you're going to understand. We only met last year, the year before, I think it was. But you're going to understand the power of networking, the power of collaborating, the power of supporting each other. And sometimes what evolves out of that is friendships. So that's the other neat part about Heather is we've become friends. Usually I do that in business, but Heather is like a soul sister. This is really freaky, Heather. So Heather, thank you for joining the show. Today, I would love to hear from you of the journey of the evolution of business. The show is here to help grow local business, but think global. And you remind me of how you pivot and move all the time.
Thank you, Angela. I'm very happy and I'm going to use the word excited because this is probably the highlight of my whole day.
Spending time with Ange talking. That I know. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, yeah, the journey of the evolution of business. You know, I was in healthcare for 30 some years and I'm only 29. So yeah, let's go there. And, you know, and I've raised 3 kids to adults and they're successful youngsters living their best. Well, I think they're living their pretty good lives. And that's the beauty of the evolution is you can be smart in what you do for revenue streams. And sometimes you can go all in your business. But I think that there's an exit strategy and a time and a place for all of that. And that is a question that I get asked a lot is, when are you leaving? When are you leaving? And I'm like, well, it will happen when it is meant to happen. But I work in my company over full time because I'm on a mission to create the empire that, you know, I've always wanted to build. And it's taken 10 years of just learning the curves, and everything that we've been through has brought us to where we're going. And and that's the part that I love the most is I'm smarter, I'm wiser, I'm more resilient, I'm more resourceful, I'm more connected, and I know how to foster relationships in business.
Yeah. I love that you're sharing that. My whole goal of the podcast show is to grow entrepreneurship, grow business. You know, those are that's a big fancy word that I don't even know anybody uses anymore. So I'm going to talk to my new audience, side hustle, grow business. And our story is quite similar, where we came from and where we are now. But I really like the advice that you just gave, because you patiently and work smarter, not harder, are moving into your business. I was the type of person that just dove in, 2 feet in. You know, I started being an entrepreneur when I was 21 years old, and some I made business money at, and some I didn't, and some I made lots at, and some I made little bits. And a very wise woman starting at 1 in 30 years in business, same as you. I think that's funny. But I really like that because the audience that's listening today could be, I'm thinking about starting a side hustle. I'm thinking about leaving my job. The other day, a psychologist said to me, she calls it the golden cuffs. And she stayed in AHS, Alberta Health Services, for many years because of the golden cuffs. And she said, and then when I took the leap to be on my own, and I was very scared to open up my own practice, I thought it was really interesting, the golden cuff theory that she used. And she said, I have no regrets. I wish I would have left a little sooner, but Heather, she said all the same things that you just did. I needed to have that wisdom. I needed to have that experience. I needed to learn the clients of what I liked and what I didn't like about being in a corporate kind of box on how to serve mental health. So for the entrepreneurs listening out there, do you have any advice from your experiences of when do you take that leap though? When do you cross in, or you do a little bit of both? Do you still stay with the golden cups a little bit? And what's your journey? What's your story?
My journey is one of always keep your options open, right? And, and you can have different revenue streams and you can have different ways of being. And I think sometimes the golden cuffs can be there for a certain amount of time, but at some point they're going to become restraints, 4-point restraints as they're called in healthcare, and they're going to hold you back because your business is going to require more of you. You are going to have maybe to be more in your business. And so if you have the option to pick and choose, like in healthcare, we're very lucky because we can work casual. We can pick up in a clinic. We can pick up all these different things. There's opportunities for healthcare. Whereas in a lot of, like, say, if you're coming out of oil and gas, it's full-time or nothing. So what I would suggest and what I would say is think about, do your exit strategy. Like, prepare your money in the bank. Make sure that you've got steady stream of clients, you're out of debt, and, and you're not putting yourself at risk. Like there's risk and then there's smart and then there's rewarding and all of those things. But people who just up and leave and then all of a sudden they don't have a customer base or a client base or a network and they just think it's just going to come because you put like a post on Facebook, that's unrealistic.
Yes.
If your husband says, or your partner or your spouse or, whatever that looks like, and you get all in and you have support and it's like, okay, I'm going to give you 2 years to go get this thing done, then that's great. That was never an option for me. Everything that I have done, everything that I have achieved, everything that I have grown, paid for with social media, websites, all of it, rebranding, all of it has all been done because I did it. I've always had a team, which I've paid since day one, but these are the things that you need to consider. Some people are lucky enough just that it can be just them, but at some point you have to scale. At some point you're buying yourself into a job. At some point you are doing the thing. And so this is where, but you need revenue, you need investment, you need joint venture capital, you need all of these things. So my job has actually, and my business has fueled what I have built. And, and when people say, oh, that must be a lot of sacrifice, you're really busy. It's like, yes, but I want more. I want to give back more. I want to help others learn these skill sets. And I want to bring the network together in what we've done with the company that the company that we're building now, which is 27 Degrees. We have the advisory board. And all of these women have been a part of my network for in the last 5 years. And they're helping now build where we're going. Mm-hmm. And that's the beautiful part about all of this. It's the evolution. And there's the evolution of the business, there's the evolution of the book in the world of publishing, and there's the evolution of the entrepreneur and what you step into.
Yes.
And somebody said to me years ago that you want the $1 million business, but do you have the $1 million mindset if you're only making minimum wage?
Yes, the mindset. That's right.
So if you came out of, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be able to handle and have the bandwidth, the expertise, and all of those things. And sometimes it takes time to learn and build and go with that. Sorry, I went off I got passionate for a moment.
I love it. Why did I choose to interview Heather Andrews? Because of everything that you have done. That's everything that you have done that has brought you here today to now. I want you to inspire, and I believe telling your story will inspire other entrepreneurs out there to not give up, to stay the course, but work smarter, not harder, because I want you to share everything that you just, all of your businesses. But the one thing that you just spoke about, bandwidth, is so crucial. The mindset of you want $1 million business, but you have the mindset and the bandwidth. I just want to pause right there, because you're someone that is still growing towards that and evolving towards that. You and I both have partners in our lives right now that are very fit. And I watch the fitness and industry, and the way my partner works is it's a number one priority every single day. So he has the $1 million mindset for his physical well-being, for his health. And I'm catching up. I say it's a priority and I say it's important to me, and I'm catching up. But in business, it's non-negotiable. Business trumps everything I do. If I get a phone call on business or anything, and it comes first. And that's why Brett Wilson it inspires me so much, because he says, stop it. Family and love first. So all my passion was just going right now when you were speaking about bandwidth. To the entrepreneur, to the business owners, or the people thinking they want to start a side hustle right now, listen, you have to have the bandwidth to be able to do it all, to be able to start the business. And that's why, do you jump right in? Do you leap? And I want you to share a little more of your evolution so that they could hear your story and decide what road is right for theirs.
Be the best you can every day. I come out of the world of healthcare, and if you don't take care of your health, you're kind of toppled, because everything else is secondary. Without your health, you can't do your business because you don't feel well. You don't have the energy. You don't have the vibrancy, and to bring upon that magnetism that people are drawn into you, right? And so I think when we talk about the mindset, you have to be able to take the hits. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to celebrate your wins.
Yeah. And
you have to get really uncomfortable some days, because if somebody doesn't pay you and you have to pay staff, you have to get creative and you have to figure out a way, and there's all that. And you have to, sometimes it's scraping by. And some days when I was building this, there was only maybe $12 in the bank. Because I was paying everybody, right? And, but that's okay. But you always make a contingency plan. And when you talk about going all in has different levels. I went all in. I hired the $10,000 business coach. I went the $6,000 website, because I felt that quality was quality was where I wanted to be. I wanted people to know that I took this seriously, and I wanted the skill sets. I wanted to know how to do it. So I invested. So that was my step one. I went all in, right? I went all in, and I wrote my story in a compilation book, which changed the trajectory of everything that I did, because I was going into a health coaching business, and I landed up with a publishing company by publishing a chapter in a book, because people started to ask me how to do this. Because 10 years ago, there wasn't everything that there was today. Yes. And so this is where the world of publishing became my oyster, and I had a lot to learn. But when I went all in and I figured it out. I invested in the right people that I needed, an editor, a graphic designer, and my formatter. And I went all in because I invested, right? So there's all in, but there's smart all in. Right? Because sometimes it's okay, I have this much money in my savings account and I can do this. But then it's okay, but I know that I need to pay my mortgage, and I don't want that to be, I'm not losing my house over this.
Yeah.
So there's the all ins, and then there's the smart. And until you can get to that point where that's the trade-off, and you're going to be, you're going to be solid for 6 months while you do the all in, if you do leave your job. And that's the exit strategy. But you need strategy for anything that you do. You need a plan.
Well, and that's my passion. I do business coaching way differently. I collaborate with a lot of business coaches, because there's a lot of great ones out there, and a lot of business consultants, and they do the heavy lifting. I like to work with people about mindset, and in the beginning, I like to get them pumped up, like the hype girl. Let's get going. You want to be an entrepreneur. You want to do this. This is how but I like to set the foundation for success for them right off the bat. And it starts with one thing, a plan. Knowledge is power. I was just actually having a conversation today with one of my business partners, and it was really interesting going back and forth. And what was really fun was we're both experienced. We've both been down the road and learned so many lessons in business. The number one common denominator in an uncomfortable conversation was, what do I need? And we allowed each other the space to say, what do I need to grow my business? And a lot of times I have gone into business where I just go all in full force. And then what does everybody need? And I'm investing all in. And if I would have had a plan, and if I would have had knowledge in the plan to set the targets, then it would have been easier instead of going through it all. And then at the end of the year going, I don't have any money to pay the mortgage payment. And I'm really afraid no one's going to be my friend anymore. And I was like, oh, I've taken all those lessons. And it was really funny. This is what I love about working with women entrepreneurs too, because men will be like, well, yeah, we'll see. We'll talk to you next week about it. I'll schedule a time. And you know how her and I ended the conversation? I was like, hey, I love you. Let's pick this up later. She's like, okay. You know what? I was like, that's awesome. That's how you do it. That's finding your tribe. And I want to touch on that tribe thing because that's why you're in my business circle. You are healthy. You are a healthy entrepreneur, and you inspire me when I'm around you. And so that means that that's who you circle with. And when I met you a couple of years ago at a big networking event, I don't care what the brand was, what the name was, I can't even remember right now of what it was, but the energy with you and the energy of the other entrepreneurs in the room was contagious, was on fire. I got the taste of entrepreneurship. So I want you to share about mentorship moments, networking, all of those things that helped you evolve over the years.
I think when my very, very first networking, so to speak, was like, I've always been a natural connector. And I think that's why I went into healthcare, was I could just talk to people and people trusted me and things like that. And that was really a key thing for me. Networking in itself was, I have always had the gift of the gab. My mom will tell you that I would start conversations as a 3-year-old in the mall with people. So I've always had that gift. And that has been a strength of mine forever, because I was like, even when I went to Saudi Arabia on my own as a healthcare worker, I didn't know anyone, but I made some very good friends and I got in with some very good people. And that networking and that sharing of story has always been an integral part. And that networking and that common good of how can I help you? How can I help you achieve your goal? How can I help you have a better day, right? And when you talk about the entrepreneurial fit thing, I mean, I think that when you and I met, I was at the largest that I've ever been. Weight-wise, not like the biggest I'd ever, no. Yeah, the largest, my size. And so when to get up on stage, I look back at those pictures and I think, okay, yeah, like I was happy and I was connecting, but there was this piece that wasn't as fit as it could have been. Like I had it all on the outside, like we had this contagious room and the energy was there and it was so good. And I just took that all in. But I knew that I had to get menopause under control. I had to get all of these things. And that's when, I met the partner and I lost 40 pounds. And so these are the things sometimes you have to, but I was giving everything to my company. And it was also a very stressful time because we'd just come out of COVID and we were really, I was really on this mindset to build this networking as big as I possibly could and really take it to a whole new level for where I wanted to see other women connect and what I wanted to show that they could be a part of when they went all in, right? And that was the growth year, right? And it was a really big growth year last year. And these are the things. But I wanted to touch on one other thing though. When we talk about the networking, when we talk about growing a business, I remember one lady who I'd met at an event, and she published with us later on. And I told her, I said, we have been waitlisted. I've had to waitlist clients in my 3rd year of business because I was growing so fast. And so there's that piece there that you can either grow too fast, which can sink or swim, you sink or swim, or you can grow too slow and then you just sink.
Yes.
So this is where like it's like this balancing act, right? So, and then there's the other thing of I slowed down, like when after I lost my 40 pounds. And as we've been building 27 degrees, as we've been making this transition, we're going a little slower, right? So for weight wise, I maintained what I lost, and I needed to give my body that balancing point to catch up. And now we went all in the beginning of last year with 27 degrees. We've now gotten it to a point that we've just sold, we have people who are going to take it to Vancouver, Toronto. We just brought in someone that's going to take it to South America. And so we're going across, but we have to lay the foundation. We're going slow and steady, and we're laying the foundation. And that is the biggest piece is I said, we can't just unleash this on the world because we want it to have a certain look, feel, brand, and an expertise level to it, so that when we launch, everything is there.
The plan.
The weight loss is a plan. The business build is a plan. The exit strategy is a plan.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned in my 10 years in business is stick to the plan. But you can, like a live book outline, it can move.
Pivot.
And, don't anchor in, but just move and be like that ebb and flow, right?
So we've touched a bit on the mindset of how be ready for it. And this is so crucial because this is where I am very passionate about the mental well-being and the mental well-being of an entrepreneur. It's tough, coming from 30 years on a farm ranch out there. I watched it. I watched people who are very passionate about their business have to pivot and diversify to things that are out of their control to keep going, and the stress that takes on them, and then specializing in disaster recovery internationally. So I've served on Canada's largest disasters, and I've watched the entrepreneurs have to pivot, and the mental well-being. You have to have that plan in front of you, because a disaster can come in. A challenge, a hurdle, a hiccup can come into your business, and you need to check in on your bandwidth, on your mental well-being, your networking, and it all comes back to reassessing your plan. So when you pull that plan out, you can say, okay, well, this is now removed for a revenue stream. This is now removed for networking or growing, and you start to just put the pieces back together, the puzzle and the plan. And then you ask yourself if you've got it to keep going forward. And don't take advice. I'm going to jump in here. This was the best advice. I got very rare business advice from my father, he being a game warden. He gave me great advice on a lot of other stuff. But one of the ones that he gave me, because he wasn't a businessman, I think he was washing windows when he retired. So he had beer money or something, or fishing money in the end.
Funny.
He said, never take business advice from the 3 F's: friends, family, and fools. And it's always stayed with me, because those are the ones that you go to. So I want to celebrate you talking about passion. 10 years in business, but I just think you're a beautiful soul, a person inside and out up there, and networking. But I watched you over the last couple of years make fitness a priority, and I watched you blossom even more. And I realized, I look back and I can see now of your health was taking a toll on you. But congratulations. And maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
It's funny because I asked for help. All I did. I just asked for help. And I think the biggest piece about asking for help is I'm stuck in my business and I don't know what to do. Okay, who do you need? Saw the lady's post the other day. She was a previous client of mine, and she said, I'm looking for a social media person. And I said, okay, let's take this off. And I went and I said, I'm working on getting her connected to someone that would work with her, that's going to read her books and things like that and really help her. Because that's the thing, is it's who you surround yourself with, that it can take you to the next level, or it can drag you back 3 levels. And that comes in your, if you're single and you're on the online dating world, if you're in business, if you surround yourself with all of the right people, and that's, and there's going to be different circles of people, right? You're going to have those inner piece, those inner circle people that you go, whoa, that was, I came home, hit you. I really feel empathy more now for what you went through. And I said, this is what happened. I didn't think she was going to answer me at 2 a.m., but she was on a global call. And she said, okay, I said, it's 3 a.m. Like, we got to go to bed. And she's like, nope, you need to be okay first. Then the next morning she texted and said, hey, and I said, I'm good. And she said, are you sure? And I said, yes.
Yeah.
And that is true to surrounding yourself.
Yes.
Those people that are trustworthy and there, and they see who you are despite the stories that might be circulating. Because trust me, in business, not everybody's going to, like, you make decisions and you make pivots and people are going to go do. But remember, there's always 4 stories out there. And then there's the truth of what really went on. So just keep that in mind. And I'm not going to say you have to wear thick skin, but you have to be able to have the ability to weather storms.
There's always going to be storms there, and like nothing's perfect. I don't know what the definition of perfect is. I'm kind of creating my own Angieism with it, but I do want to touch on one thing about, I interviewed someone the other day who is a catalyst coach, and her name is Velva Dawn, and she was sharing, I didn't understand what a catalyst coach was, but I go to her for Reiki and for healing hands, and she is such a gift to our world of the gift that she has from healing hands. So I didn't realize that. So she talks a lot about your intuition. And so she's going into the business world now of teaching people how to listen to their intuition. So I was really curious about this and why I brought her on, because there comes a time when you'll have a whole bunch of information or you're around people and you just have to listen to your gut feeling, which is energy and frequency. I really, as we get the world back to basics, like it's going to start to take off here online, and we're going to have to remember back to basics, and why I'm so passionate about shopping local, supporting local, because the world's going to get more and more with the quantum physics, the AI, everything that's coming out. Everything's a click of a button away, and we're going to get isolated, and we're going to forget about our intuitiveness. We're going to forget about dating and courting when you used to go out and meet them, and then you'd feel the energy, feel if there's chemistry there. The frequency of the energy of the people that you're around in business is crucial, and relationships.
I think that's where that when you talk about intuition, it's the getting quiet, right? Like, we live in this world, everything like spinning, and it's just like, okay, stop. Yeah. Stop.
Take a breath.
I think that's like, it's a get quiet to do more. It's go slow to go fast. And that's, and that was one of the things that my friend, Dr. Erin Oxall, told me, was like, she's got her little book out that we published years ago, and it's just got these little things in it, but it really is. But it's the power of the quiet. There's the power of the quiet, the power of the pause, the power of just sitting on your floor, for crying out loud, or just going for a drive and just sitting and letting those things come in. And I remember one CEO of one huge, large worldwide conglomerate said he sat on the 30th or 50th floor of some United States building, and he would turn his chair around and look out over the city, and he would just sit there and think.
Yes.
And, like, as I've gotten older and as I've gone through so many things throughout my life, I can fully appreciate where, the power of the pause, even when you're standing on stage, it's kind of like the mic drop, right? You say something and you just stand there and let it just sink.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, oh, I hope she talks soon, because I'm really feeling uncomfortable over here. But, you have to know that pause, right? And so that's when, like, if you need to heal, if you need to adjust, if you need to reflect, and that intuition, and when those red flags hit, you kind of go, whoa, stop. Yeah. So it goes back to, I think it was Jay Facette's integrity training years gone by. And it was, stop, look, stop, look, choose, right? Or stop, stop, look, choose. And so it's like, stop, look, right? Look both directions. Because if you keep looking left, it's going to look different, but you never know when you might see the sunset, right? So look right, look left, figure out your path, figure out where you want to go, and then go. But it's always a decision, right? But you can always try something on and go, yeah, no, I don't think so. And I think the other thing that I've learned is be curious. Like, be smart, but be curious. And just say, I'm going to go try this. Make sure there's an out. And just be curious to know if something's going to work for you.
Well, that's crucial.
Something doesn't work.
It's crucial in business. You need to, when you're sleeping, your competition isn't. I heard from a coach once, and I've raised my children were athletes in some of their years of growing up, and it was a great coach that said it, and I've used it in business many times. And so, stay curious is really crucial. Stay ahead of the times. What's competition? What's the trend? What's happening? Looking for opportunity to meet people, looking for opportunity of diversifying your revenue and your business. And, but look for it, find it. But I have made some terrible financial business mistakes because I acted. I was influenced and I acted, and it was fun. And I got caught up in the moment and let's go, where I didn't pause. I didn't listen in. I didn't reflect and pause and make a choice. I just acted on emotion and went. And please, everybody that is listening, do not make business decisions based on emotion.
I quoted this back the other day, and you'll be able to picture him saying this, because it's like, he says, he's been in business for 40 years. Okay. My partner. And he said, if it's not making you money, it's costing you money. So the other day I said, remember, if it's not making you money, it's costing you money.
Yep.
Pause. And he looked at me and he said, that's why you're my girl.
And best out in him. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is those check-ins. Yeah. And, Angela, and I think that, if I can say anything, it's just walk in with courage, be brave, and ask, and just trust, right? Yeah. And trust the right people. And there's gonna be those times that you get burned, but really at the end of the day, it's like, it's kind of like writing the book, right? And this is why we have these different stepping stones, right? There's the co-authored book, for instance, and it's like, okay, I want to go in small. Okay, so this can be where you can go into your network marketing company. You can go into, there's lots of options, affiliate linking or something like that, and then just get into the taste of it, right? Yeah. And then, next thing, you're going to be like, well, how do I share my story about, this business or this product or why I'm doing it? And sharing that story is so key. And whether you share your story in a podcast like this, whether you share your story on a stage, whether you share your story in a blog, whether you write an article in a magazine, whether you write it in a book, whether you write in your own book, right? These are all stepping stones. These are all things. And, and you have to be, and so this is where you need to get visible. You need to tell people what you're doing. And you need to get comfortable with telling people what you're doing, and that was the thing. It's like people said, oh, you can speak so well. And I'm like, yeah, but I could facilitate really, really good in corporate and in the boardroom, but working over here in my own business, I got to sell myself. It's not my business. It's myself.
Yeah, it's not.
And so it was so different. And I was in Miami when I realized one of those intuition moments was I was talking to my business at the time, which was a health coaching business for moms. And I looked and my heel got hooked on the stage and I almost fell off the stage. But anyway, because it was like this long, narrow stage. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't just that. I delivered the talk. I delivered the thing, but I was nervous because I was going for perfection at that time. But when I came off the stage, I'm like, I don't want to do my business. It shouldn't be this stressful.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this hard.
I'm stuck. I'm flat. Yeah.
I'm stuck, I'm flat. And that's when I kind of made the pivot. I was, one of the girls there reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to write in this book with me?" And I was like, "Yes, I
Yeah.
do."
The timing, right? The timing was so crucial.
Right.
And I love that you've given some great advice here of having the be brave and the courage and get after it and be curious. And also sometimes it takes the wake up call of the broken heel, getting off the stage or slipping to wake you up and to just pause you and say, and listen intuitively. That's the other thing. Listen inside. When you pause and you listen inside, you're saying to yourself, I'm not happy here. And then all of a sudden, the universe is going to deliver, right, of what you want. Because another piece of advice you just gave us, thank you, is to get visible. And this is the mantra of my of my podcast show, of my coaching, of everything that I do every day, growing business communities, is get local. It's a beautiful time to be a business owner right now. Get with your tribe, get local. Like in the big urban cities, there's many ways to build your tribe networking and feeling that frequency, feeling that energy, getting curious, getting brave, get the support systems, everything in place. Do it in your backyard first and then go global. So when you're looking for social media, when you're looking for all these add-ins, look at the people, feel the energy around, and then go global. Then take your business to the next part. But sometimes the best assets are in your backyard. And that's what I've loved about you, bringing all the networking events. I just want to thank you so much for everything you do for women in business. Mostly I know you as you've been a facilitator, you've been a host, you've been an advocate of pushing what people could do better to support business in many different angles. And then you also provide the opportunity to get visible and share. So I would like you to share all the opportunities that I believe it takes a village to raise a child and it takes a community to support a business. Could you share your businesses with us so we can support you?
Absolutely. I think it's been an evolution of the business. And it really started with Get You Visible, and it's getyouVisible.com. That's where we started in about our third year, really taking that umbrella website forward. And to date, we've probably published over 420 some odd authors and some like over 70 some odd books and 300 and some odd podcasts. And so it's all there.
Way to go.
And, yeah. And then it took the evolution and where I wanted to start a mastermind. And so I did. Last year I started the Empire Authors Academy. We've got some beautiful, soulful people in there. So stay tuned for 2025 because they'll be launching their books. And through that, through my partner, who's also an author, we have created a company called 27 Degrees. And that is going to encompass publishing a lifestyle magazine. So we're going to be talking about health and wealth and mental health. And we're going to be talking about world things and really bringing locally and globally together and into rural, because we've talked about that in a major way. And we're going to be really talking about how to really leverage, our own backyard, rurally, city, provincially, federally, and into the global space. And then we've got the live events and the online events and the mastermind coming. And this is the evolution of where we've gone. And then under the publishing realm of 27 Degrees, we've now created Your Untold Story, which is a 12-week get you started writing program for people who just want to step into their story. And through that, we've got, that's the course. And then I'm a big proponent in like doing your solo book, doing your podcast, but also the co-authored book, which is really where my writing journey began. And we've gone into like 21 of them now. And we've just, and then we're going to be launching the men's compilation in January, because I really do believe that, men's mental health is on the front line as well. And we really need to bring those in. We need to bring those voices to be heard. And so, your voice matters. Yeah. And we just want to bring in, the platform to achieve what you want to achieve in your life with the right people, and align yourselves to these people that have big dreams. And this is where like your reality does, kind of embraces your dreams. Right. And this is what the 27 Degrees is. And that's where we're going with this. And it gives me shivers, actually. Yeah. And there's days where I think like, who am I to do this? Who am I to
have a dream that big? Who am I to, I have imposter syndrome. But at the same point, it's what I was made for.
It's what you were made for. I'm here to endorse you. I dream big, keep dreaming big. We are here to support you. Why I brought you on to this show is because I want to expose everything you're doing, and I want the world to help support your business because I think you make a difference. And I think it's your purpose.
And I was just going to say, as you walk your life, stay connected with people, because the people that are coming back into my life now are like, we knew each other from, like the farming community of who your last name is, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, but we have so many people in commonality. But one of the girls that's doing Vancouver and Toronto, she used to live on my street. Our girls played together. They moved away. We lost contact. We met at a stampede party. We got reconnected, and she's doing beautiful things in Toronto and Vancouver now, and she's in her bit. And so it's really about, as you build your community.
Yes, there we go. This is a great ending.
You just don't know how people are going to come back into your life.
Yes.
And you're going to go and do big things, because every person has their piece, and we have to go, we might meet for a time, but that is what happens is we go and we learn. And then when the timing is right, we've come back around, and here we are positioning ourselves to go.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. You've given great advice to us. Keep that community spirit. Keep helping us network. Keep helping us grow, and think global with your businesses. You have lots on the go. I can't wait I'm staying by the sidelines. I'm volunteering on some of your stuff because I'm that passionate. So thank you again, and congratulations, 10 years.
Thank you.
All
Love
right.
you.